Hello, welcome to a breakfast live stream. And I thought some of our American viewers might appreciate a shot of some lovely eggs on brown bread toasted. Because I know eggs over there are incredibly expensive. Luckily, over here in Ireland, they're one of the things that haven't gone up yet. Everything else has. Um, Coffee is the one for me, and breakfast that's gone up terribly. I don't know how long more I'll be able to afford coffee. But so you get to see me eat my eggs, which is kind of an ugly sight, but you can fantasize over the eggs. And I will be shoving the toast in one side of my face because I have a slightly loose tooth in the front, which I'm trying to hang on to for as long as possible. And today I'll be talking about people trying to hang on to their privacy on the internet as part of what I'm talking about, because there's so many videos about it coming up. You might know this already. If you don't, you're going to get a shock probably on the 13th of August, because a lot of the apps that you use will be asking you to verify your age via ID, uploading ID, like a driver's license or a card or something that has your photo on it. Could be like a public services card or an identification card of some sort, um, with your number on it of who you are. And that's not great because these are all private numbers that we're constantly getting told, don't share this with anybody. If somebody asks for your bank card or something, you go, what? You're just some app, I don't want to give you that info. But there's a range of things that apps are going to be asking for, because there's an Online Safety Act that seems to be going to be implemented in a lot of countries, not just US citizens. Are a lot of the videos I'm seeing are saying, no, it's a European thing, blame the Europeans. But there's a US version of it as well happening now. And I've just come from a video that I saw come up on my home page that was about Spotify. And Spotify are a music streaming service, and they're asking people for their ID now. So it's the app wide. It's not like whether the app is in your country or not. Um, the EU does have certain different laws for some things, because that GDPR law um, that was enacted in Europe meant that if you go onto websites and they're going to serve you up ads which involve storing cookies, basically tracking your activity across that website, and some of them can follow you across other websites, that they have to say to you, hey, do you want to see ads on this page or not? And you have to give a European user a little pop-up box that asks that question and gives them the option to opt out of seeing ads, unless you're a site that wants to run your site with ads running all the time. And then that person is either going to have to decide, do they want to see the ads, or do they want to just not go to the site at all? And that's always happening to me on sites where I'll go to a site and I'll try to say, no, reject all to the ads when the pop-up box comes up. And they say, oh, our site offers ads as part of the service, and you have to opt in to ads to see it. So I know straight away that's not a site I'm going to be bothered going to, because the ads were getting so intrusive on these sites that I didn't want to watch. I didn't want to read anything online on any websites or go to any apps that had millions of ads in them. And even here on YouTube, they shove in ads everywhere. They even put ads in disguised as videos. It's ridiculous. You're looking at something and you go, I don't want to see that. It's kind of offensive. And you go to click the little button beside the video on your homepage and choose don't recommend channels, so you won't see that pop up again or anything like it. and you realize it says sponsored. It's an ad, you see. The way they had started with magazines, the magazines aren't, I don't think they're as popular like newspapers. They're falling out of popularity a little bit in favor of everybody doing everything on the internet. But in ads, they'd have full page ads that you didn't know were ads. They were supposed to look like an article about something because it was supposed to make you engage with it, because nobody wants to see flipping ads. Who likes ads? And ads interrupt what you do want to do typically. So if you're watching a video on YouTube, um, ads can interrupt you getting to start the video. They can interrupt in the middle of the video, and they can even interrupt every few minutes in the video. So they completely destroy your focus for everything when you're online, because if you're watching videos, because they're cutting your attention span down to little bite-sized chunks. And more people leave after a few minutes on a video, and an ad crops up for me in the middle of a video. I sometimes leave it, you know. Uh, so we're becoming stupider just through that device. And of course, everything online is about getting you hooked so that you'd quite like to scroll away, but they call it doom scrolling or endless scrolling. Um, but you've got this compulsion to just get another little dopamine hit from seeing something that either makes you angry or makes you happy or something. So you keep scrolling, looking for content, you see. So you're like a trained rat in a maze, really. And this is by design. So now with this new law coming in, um, they have you where they want you because you are addicted to things on the internet. They got you addicted. Sorry, it'd be a very long live stream if I didn't chew while I'm speaking. They got you addicted to loads of different apps and your phone and your screen, whether it be on computer or tablet or TV, smart screen or laptop. And they did that by, first of all, offering you something entertaining. With the birth of the internet, they were offering you this new medium in which to express yourself and make websites and everything free. And people love free resources. They're going to play with them, aren't they? So people learned how to use that, and it was fun. And then we got smartphones. And the internet developed in the meantime. It developed a bit better technically. And a lot of businesses decided they should be on the internet, you see. So, of course, the advertising got in then, and advertising wrecks everything. Businesses trying to sell you stuff wrecks everything for people, you know. It's all money, you see. We live in a capitalist consumer society, so these people are going to push it and push it and push it until they wreck things. And they are wrecking society at the moment by not just by what they're doing to the internet, but about how they're pushing prices up all the time, until we're now at a situation where you watching me eating eggs on toast is practically porn, because you mightn't be able to afford eggs yourself, you see. But for the online safety law, some of the people complaining about it, I have suspicions it's because of the porn element of it, because age verification wouldn't be something they'd be thrilled about doing when they're going to their favorite naughty sites to watch content, because there are some things on the internet that people like to do privately. So a lot of the male content creators are going absolutely nuts about that one, but about the privacy law. But they're not really saying, a few of them have kind of mentioned porn online, but not really gone into it very much. But I'd say that's the major horror for them now, that a lot of people who are addicted to prawn, as they like to call it online, and which isn't shrimp Jesus. Shrimp Jesus is like to do with AI. but watching prawn online, that they go white at the very thought of age verification. It kind of kills the passion for what you're about to do. But it should kill anybody's passion, really, because we've had leaks online. Um, I think I put it in the video description that I said to somebody, a YouTuber that I had a live stream about recently. A guy called Mudahar, who runs a channel called Some Ordinary Gamers. He got his karma the other day. Apparently, karma comes for people regularly. Karma can be good or bad, right? It's just you lay the seeds of your karma by your actions, whatever they are, and so the results or the flowers or the fruits of those actions can be either good or bad. But they weren't necessarily good for Mutahar because he disappeared for a week when the news came out that he had been lying about being an engineer. He had a tech show and he was always on about, well, I'm an engineer, you can trust me, I have the right credentials and everything. And it emerged recently that he was no more an engineer than, the man in the moon was. But now he's saying, oh no, I'll just stick to saying I'm a programmer. But is he even a programmer? You see, a lot of people call themselves programmers who are maybe write a few lines of Python or JavaScript or something, and bing, you're a programmer. So maybe he doesn't have qualifications in that either. Or some people even give it away by saying, oh, I'm a programmer. I can write HTML. You go, no, that's scripting. That's not even programming. So I don't know. It's sort of internet credentials, isn't it? So the reason he was relevant to this was that he was positively gloating about a hack into an app that women in the US were using. Some women who were dating on dating sites and things were using this app that you could download from the iPhone store. And it was called the T app. And the T app was where you sort of talk to other women on the app to see if they had dated a guy you were dating, or if you were thinking about dating a guy in your area that turned up in a dating app or something like that. You could get sort of reviews of the guy. Was he safe enough, basically, to go out with on a date? From other women who might have gone on a date with them from the same dating sites. You see, that kind of thing. But what happened was 4chan, they keep saying it's 4chan, but it's not 4chan. It's not 4chan anymore, but it's the same crowd basically running it. It's a board, which is a no censorship kind of a board, and it's full of mostly males, a lot of them very angry, a lot of them very disaffected, a lot of them very extreme political views, or religious views on there, and a lot of woman hatred on there. And because it's uncensored, you can say things that you wouldn't be able to say normally on other platforms, and talk to other people about it and build each other up about it and everything, So they decided, a group of them on that board decided, one of the boards on that site decided that they were going to take the T app down because presumably some of them featured on it as being horrible or abusive or worse criminal records, because you could look up. They're public sites where you can look up somebody's criminal record that they have in the US anyway. But within this app, they showed you how to use that site, or had links to those facilities for you to use to look somebody up before you go out with them, so you can find out if he's a sort of serial killer that's just been released out of prison or something, or whether he has domestic abuse charges or something like that. That would obviously make you want to avoid dating somebody, if you value your life at all. So the men's were very annoyed about that, you see. And They were trying to sneak in as women to spy on the women, and you had to have photo ID, and they were faking photo ID and everything. And Mudahar was one of the guys saying, um, I don't know whether there's primarily a Muslim aspect to this, but Mudahar and a lot of the guys doing this hacking were Muslims. It was a group of Muslim guys organizing it, but Mudahar was one of the ones encouraging men to get fake IDs and go on to this site and spy on what women were saying and report back and everything. And he was thrilled about the hacking when it happened recently. And in the hacking, I think it was 72,000 data points of women's images that they had to upload to the site to verify that they were women joining, and because it's a women only app for safety reasons. They were all hacked, and or anything else they'd uploaded by way of ID verification, which obviously is very relevant to this conversation, isn't it, about the new safety laws. So there are a whole load of the bros, gamer bros, and just manosphere bros, and just ordinary bros, because a lot of fellas who you wouldn't think are totally sexist and dislike women are. But it takes you a while to find out. Like somebody I knew a while back who announced suddenly, let me know he was a rape apologist, basically, where he was talking about some guy in real life who was a rapist and sentenced as a rapist. And he said, oh, it's terrible, that poor boy just made a mistake. Went, what? That's not a mistake you make very easily, is it, raping somebody? And he goes, oh, well, it was a party. And I go, so? And I said, you do understand what rape is, don't you? It's when somebody says no, a woman says, no, I don't want sex, or a fella, and the other person goes ahead and has it anyway. That's rape. So he goes, yes, but they were drunk. And I went, what? That doesn't matter. And he could tell that I was getting a bit annoyed with him. And he goes, well, she promised it to him earlier. And I said, what? So, he just took it. And he said, well, it wasn't violent. She was asleep. So that was the end of that friendship. But it can take years for somebody to say something like that makes you realize suddenly they don't respect somebody at all, somebody's rights. And in a way, the internet safety bill, people are thinking of that as a kind of a rape of your privacy, But the thing is, our privacy had been so eroded for so long anyway. And that's not the first time I've been asked for age verification to even get back into things. In YouTube, I've been asked for it a few times. Google, I've been asked for it a few times. And on one occasion in Google, I uploaded it and somebody got into my internet then. So I got hacked immediately after doing it. So it was a Google staff member, obviously, doing it. So, you can't trust these people with your data. You're being told to mind your data all the time, because data is information that companies use to exploit in terms of either selling your data to somebody. And it's not always for even just annoying marketing reasons. You could be inundated with all kinds of spammy emails and everything, or just have your accounts hacked on different social media sites that you're on. And most of us are on various different sites. I've actually been reducing the amount of sites that I'm on very deliberately, because this thing known as the enshittification of the internet has been going on for so long that I find the internet a fairly miserable experience now. Not quite bad enough to be finished with yet, because I could still do various things to block this, utilize that, get around things here, there, and the other place. Mostly about blocking very aggressive advertising at me, because advertising is a very brainwashing thing that puts you in a mode to buy from them all the time. And everything is this, you need this mode, you can't live without this, this, and this. And we have to, because they're simultaneously making us all poverty stricken. And we're actually living in a Hunger Games situation, as they say online. But it's a literal Hunger Game. I nearly starved a couple of years ago. I only had a few £100 left, and I was rationing food. That's how bad it was. And that was before the next tranche of prices all going up and everything. And I think most people now are in the situation I was in then, of just like, tiny bit of cash away from starvation and not having, living homeless and everything. A lot of people in the US at the moment seem to be living in their cars. That crisis seems to be getting worse, but it is everywhere, because it's the big tech businesses that are pushing it all the time for more profit, and they've pushed it so far that people don't want to have to buy anything anymore, because they're just concentrating on, how do I get food? That's why I have this lovely food porn today. How do I get food? How do I keep a roof over my head? And they're not even saying, how do I have children anymore? There's a lot of videos coming up for me about the birth rate dropping seriously. They're kind of linking two ideas: the male loneliness epidemic and the birth rate dropping. And although they are linked a bit, they're not completely linked, because some of the reason the birth rate is dropping is because nobody can afford kids anymore. If you can't afford to feed yourself and you can't afford a roof over your head, you're not going to be able to afford kids. The rest of it is political stuff. That you don't want to bring a kid into the current environment, because the enshittification of the world is happening due to companies marketing so aggressively and trying to make your world smaller and smaller all the time. And the way they're doing this is keeping you online and making you, and they got there already, they made you dependent on all these apps. And they're saying now, they're so dependent now that they're prepared to upload their ID to us to do what we want with, just to listen to a few tunes on Spotify, or any other, pick any, like your favorite app for anything. It happened with gaming ages ago. I like playing Sims, real girl game that, but Sims went completely online a few years ago. And you used to be able to play it offline. And now they want you to play it online. And the reason was because they keep trying to sell you things while you're in the game. And it is a game where they were always trying to sell you kind of expansion packs for the little towns and cities and things that were in the world of Sims, to modify your game with. But it's every few minutes trying to sell you some junky thing to do with kind of seasonal marketing things or something. Oh, it's Halloween, you want to buy a wreath? It's only like $5 to buy a wreath to hang on your house. It's a virtual house. Come on, folks, get real. This is why it was good those games were offline. They used to be the things that you went to get yourself offline for a while. But no, we weren't allowed to have that, because they needed you online, you see, to market to you in real time. So the marketing for this Online Safety Act now is, the marketing spiel, if you like, is a hashtag Save the Children one. Just like QAnon, who weren't about that at all, it turned out. And we're about exactly the same thing as this: profits. It's being it's being said by governments and everything that this is an initiative which is going to help um, underage children to be not watching content which is not suitable for them. So we all have to, like, I don't have children, but we all have to do something to help this happen, you see. But it seems like a very thin excuse to me, because anybody who has kids or knows kids knows how good they are at getting around things, and they're forever taking adult ID to do all sorts of things, as any parent who's ever had something bought on their credit card online by their kid knows. It's not about that at all. Clearly, nobody thinks it's about that. Absolutely nobody. But what it is handy for is surveilling people, because here in Ireland, the cops, the Gardaí, we're always able to go into certain apps to look at messaging and things like that if they had a suspicion of any criminality. And apps like WhatsApp are very popular here, which is a phone messaging app. And it's popular because if you put your contacts in on WhatsApp, you can make free calls, videos, and free texts to people that you've added as a contact on WhatsApp, which beats having to pay for phone calls, which are widely expensive on your mobile, you see. And I only use my mobile for calls I have to make, like, make an appointment with the doctor or the dentist, because it's too expensive to use the phone. But they now want to have more powers to be able to go in, presumably by saying, oh, we just want to monitor in case we might have a suspicion of. So they can go in and monitor your WhatsApp and everything. That's what they want, without there being a court case or anything about it. So they seem to want more powers than they had. I haven't read completely into it, so I won't be like terribly positive on that. But basically, the whole push is to get in governments and AI monitoring to get in to look at the content that you have in private DMs as well as apps. That's what they've I don't know where they're at with that aspect of it, because they've tried to push that various times now, and it was a bit too much for some people when they were trying to pass bills about it before. So I don't know if they passed the full version of those bills yet. So that's an extension of the Safety Act that we're talking about, where you go into apps and you have to verify your age and all this by showing your ID, whether it's facial biometrics or a photo or a uploaded ID. Oh, it depends on the app. But it's generally a kind of a closing in on every aspect of your life that's happening very fast to us now, so that governments are able to monitor everything you're doing. But I do believe that there's another aspect to it. The AI aspect to it is important. The surveillance aspect is important. So typically there's a supermarket in England, Asda supermarket, and it's owned by Walmart, right? But it's an English version of it. And Asda has trialed facial biometrics within their grocery store. Trumpites might not know what groceries are, but we do. So they're spying on you while you're walking around getting your groceries, you see. And they're trialing this so that they can tell who the shoplifters are. They're always saying it's to stop crime, okay? It's like the way they're forever stopping your bank account when you shop in somewhere you don't usually shop, online or something like that, or it could be offline. But sometimes they just, I know they do it with me, they sometimes just stop my bank account, and you have to, go to them in person, or email them and then go to them and say, like, why have you cut off my account? And they say, oh, it's to stop money laundering and criminals, you see. But it's really not. And the conspiracy theorists used to get given out to about thinking like this and go, oh, don't be silly, it's just to keep you safe. But in fact, they're forever doing things just to see, can they tighten the control on you more, because they do things like cut off the internet completely in different areas, and have done it. I mean, look it up. They've done it. It's not just like places like Russia that do this as experiments. They'll cut off the internet for a day or something in a region just to see what happens in that region as a social experiment, and to keep people in that Hunger Games mentality of, oh my God, I'm so addicted to the internet, what'll I do? There was a power cut here the other day, and it was very panicky because I have an aquarium over there, and the air pump to the aquarium went off completely. Like, if I'd had an uncle over there or something on air, that might have been worse if you had a human plugged into things. You'd need all sorts of backup power things and everything. But I had shrimp, and I care about them. So the lecky was off. That was very worrying because I had live animals, and the internet was off, and I was going, oh, a bit more so about the shrimp, to be honest, because I had a guitar. I was playing old style entertainment that I had there for backups when the internet goes off. But if you don't think that they will be extending the control to cutting off the internet every once in a while just to keep you on your toes and keep you really wanting it more when you get back, because that's how intermittent reward works. That's how they got you hooked on the apps that you have to use so much all the time, so much that they think now they can ask you for ID. I don't know if they're going to ask you like multiple times for ID. I think they probably will, because I've been asked multiple times already before the law ever passed, just for Google products, asking for ID to use their apps on a regular basis, to let them know, yeah, I'm a good citizen. I do what you say. Yes, Lord and Master. Yes, I am just but a poor serf. Um, so they'll be cutting off various services. Like, what have you got? Water, they could cut off water. Lecky, we know that they cut off, well, I didn't know until recently, and I looked it up, where they've done it and everything. They cut off Lecky just for fecking you around every once in a while, cut off internet for fecking you around every once in a while, and to get you more hooked on their services. And things like banks already, I couldn't open a bank account without having a phone. And it had to be a particular type of phone. My other dumb phone, as they say, one that isn't a smartphone, um, that wouldn't, I couldn't open a bank account with that. They insisted that, no, you have to have a smartphone because we have to send you this text on your thing, and it doesn't open on a dumb phone. So just because of a message that they want to send me on my phone, I must have a smartphone. That's not coincidence. That's done by design to get you online. And it's just the dummies that are up the front serving these products. Not all the dummies realize, but anybody in marketing realizes how marketing works, and, how you have to get people on a platform and desperate to stay there, to get the opportunity to market to them. At times they don't want to see ads, because most people are normal. They don't want to see ads all the time, and particularly now we don't want to see ads. We don't have money to buy anything, do we? So so this is making people bring up the question again. And I have a live stream about this still up on my live tab, right? And the live stream is called AI at the End of the Internet, something like that. This is bringing up the idea again that people are saying the enshittification of the internet is fully here now with these new safety laws coming in that make our lives more difficult, inconvenient, and less private and more susceptible than ever to hacking and all our information being taken and sold on or used for horrible purposes. And I include advertising in that. But like populist control, basically. Because if they know everything you're doing, they can control it. They know a lot of what you're doing already. But they could know every single moment of every day. I mean, they were already doing bits of spying on you through devices and things, and following you around the internet through cookies and everything. So that anything you thought you were even just thinking is going to pop up as an ad somewhere. Oh, you really need this in your life, So that's the level of control they want over you. And they want it so much that they want you to fall in love with the idea of transhumanism and everything. It's just creepy and disgusting, like beyond belief, really. And some of the real dingbats are kind of wooed by that and think that's, it sounds like a science fiction movie, so we should want it. But of course, it's about treating people as things. So it's not really something that you want, because things are just like cattle that you move around, herd around, get them to do what you want, control them, and they don't have any say in the matter, you see. So the control of behavior and everything, keeping us online is great because you can run all these psyops online and get people to all kind of hate some scapegoat instead of hating you, the big bold baddies who are actually doing it, and send people off running, scurrying around in all kinds of different directions, having little fights with each other, rather than dealing with the big businesses and tech people that are the real problem. And in the US, it's all coming out that far from child safety and big business having a concern with, and governments having a concern with keeping children safe, a lot of them have more of a concern about sexually assaulting children, because the whole Jeffrey Epstein thing is bringing that out, how big business and government figures were involved in a big ring of basically pedophiles, So, and some of the people on the lists there, even though they're saying there isn't a list, we do have access to various files and lists that have names that are circled by people who knew Epstein to say who was involved in that ring. They're some of the biggest people with the biggest businesses that we all use because they have a monopoly on those businesses, you see. So with the enshittification of the internet, by having to spend a lot of time verifying your identity, by sharing all your private information to listen to a tune even online, or to go onto YouTube for as long as they allow you to go on, while you have an okay enough opinion that they're not shadow banning you and things. And apparently this topic gets you shadow banned really easily. Do you even want to go online, you see? Do you have the will? Are you a free agent enough to not go online, even if you didn't want to anymore, you see? A lot of people don't have hobbies or interests anymore outside of things online, or very few things. They just wander around in their everyday life. They work, they spend a lot of time working. If they consider themselves lucky, if they have a job, I've never had jobs really nice enough that I go, ooh, I'm so lucky I get to go to work. I have a job now I really like, because I'm an artist, And I get to work at that at the moment. So I'm very lucky at the moment. But do you really have choice about going offline in a real way anymore if you wanted to? Or are you so addicted that it's going to be really, really difficult? Because one thing these people can take away is your sense of agency, because the way they erode your sense of agency with all the apps and the way the apps work is that they make you work off instant gratification now, which gives you a quicker dopamine hit that's not as long lasting as the type of dopamine hit that you get from doing slow tasks where you have to wait for a reward to come. Now, they do, like say in gaming or something like that, you do have to wait a little while sort of to get to the next level or to get your reward or something. But it's not as long usually as in real life, and it doesn't take as long to learn a skill. It's like that scene in The Matrix where Neo is lying back and they've got all sorts of nodes in his head and everything, a la Elon Musk Neuralink fantasy. And he's lying back and he goes, I know Kung Fu. And then I can speak Japanese or whatever it is, where it just takes him seconds to learn things because he's plugged into the neural net, Um, and everybody wants that kind of instant gratification these days. They don't want the slow stuff. And we don't know how to do it anymore. Now, I never really lost the ability to do it because I'm an Gen X person. So we grew up before the internet. We had all these interest hobbies and ways of navigating in the world that were nothing to do with the internet. Then the internet came along. So we had our formative years, if you like, without the internet before the internet came along. So what you learn in the first years of your life tends to be something that stays with you a lot. You build on it and everything, but it stays with you a lot through the rest of your life. So it's very important, the early years of learning. But I do have perhaps more resources than somebody who grew up being handed a smartphone to amuse themselves with from the time they were a baby. So kind of governments are saying, oh, that's the kind of thing we want to keep children safe from and everything. No, they don't. No, they don't. They want consumers and they want brainwashed populace. So that's like, really thin excuse, which makes them sound virtuous when they're doing something awful, which isn't going to work even. It'll only work for keeping the worst of us under control. The rest of us have to revolt in some way. They find us revolting anyway. But we have to revolt somehow. And what they have been doing is a creep thing, creeping in upon our privacy, increasingly in a way that it wasn't all at once, so that we wouldn't go, here, that's just madness. I'm out, man, They crept in a bit at a time, and you go, I can't believe I have to do that. I can't believe Sims is online now. Damn, but I really like Sims. If it's only one of those things happening at a time, it's you kind of go, okay, well, I'll put up with this thing. But we've had years and years now of, I'll just put up with this new awful thing. I'll put up with this terrible thing. I'll put up with another terrible thing, until you're there on YouTube saying, I can't even watch videos anymore because it's ads every few minutes, and I can't even see what the video is about anymore because they're shoving in so many ads, And even the creators are making their own ads in the middle of the video as well, It's no wonder that Americans see themselves as products and objects with value now rather than people, because they've been trained to do that. But some are rebelling. And it is the time. So what are you going to do on the 13th of August? there's this a shitstorm coming in terms of what you have to do and the hoops you have to jump through just to be online on these apps now. And if you hadn't been like me, withdrawing from more and more apps all the time, you haven't started your program yet of how to get away from it, because you actually have to plan an escape from these media. You can't escape the whole thing because they have designed it that you have to go online for all sorts of form filling. Like I'll be doing my taxes in another couple of months, and I have to go online to do it in forms online and everything. And there's various things like that you have to do online. But maybe it's time to think about developing hobbies that are better hobbies than internet hobbies. That if the enshittification continues to such a bad state that you can't enjoy whatever your favorite vices are online, whether it be gaming, prawn, just reading websites, listening to music, maybe you need to think of alternatives. Music's easy. You get your own music, and I don't anymore. I was looking in that corner, I forgot I didn't have it. I had an old computer and I'd uploaded all my music onto it. I had CDs, and I copied all the CDs onto the computer itself and played just my own library of music, which I don't know how many CDs I had, 40 or 50 CDs maybe, mostly classical stuff. And had played my own playlist. So I had my own Spotify that I played off a computer. And that computer was so old, it didn't even connect to the internet anymore. It was a Power Mac or something it was. It had, it didn't have the right chip in it to even accept a modern browser in it. So you couldn't go on the internet on it. So there's your music sorted out. You see, this is the way you have to think. Other entertainment, in the old days, and I'm putting it humorously like this because I'm learning this the hard way all the time. A lot of people don't read anymore, right? So I've just done, I did Dracula serialized, Bram Stoker's. Bram Stoker lived in Dublin. He was an Irishman, sort of ascendancy Irish, really. He was wealthy, but English Irish. But I was reading Dracula serialized on my channel live. And I got very few views on that. I got one viewer, thank you very much, who gave me feedback, who said she absolutely loved it and really enjoyed it and everything. So that made my day, because sometimes you are just speaking to the void. But I have a dystopian novel, which is kind of getting to the funny part at the moment, of my own, that I'm reading on a series of lives. And we're up to chapter 7 or something at the moment. But that's got darn all views on it. Because people don't even want to listen to books. They don't want to read. They don't want to have anything to do with books. And they don't want to be seen as intellectual, because there's been some sort of big campaign that to demonize intellectuals, that it's not a good thing to be intellectual, and books go with that. But books are entertainment. A novel is entertainment. And I got entertainment out of reading it. I'm sort of going, oh my God, it's going to take me forever to do that series, because if I'm only getting about 3 chapters done per live, I'm going to have to do a lot of lives to do the whole book. And it's soul destroying when nobody watches the lives, or you get so very, very few views and no feedback at all about it. So you kind of go, why am I bothering? And then the other part of you goes, yeah, but you do it because the intention was to share something with people. And if you get a kick out of it, the intention is to share. That's a very old fashioned view of hanging out with people, is sharing your interests and everything, because a lot of people now don't have hobbies or interests, you see, so there's very little sharing goes on conversation when people do get together. It's extremely awkward, and I'm an introvert, so like I'm not I don't enjoy conversations with people very much anyway. If somebody would, if I get stuck in a conversation somewhere, unless it's something that really interests me, I kind of go, oh, small talk. Oh. And in fact, I want to do a live about that sometime, how to stop small talk. Because I realize that for introverts, there's a lot of topics. This is off today's topic, but just briefly. For introverts, there are a lot of videos on YouTube about what to do in conversations if you're an introvert. But it's all about how to have conversations. It's not about how to stop people talking to you. What about the poor introverts like me who want to stop conversations from continuing when they're out and about and just want to be in their own little world, If you're an introvert, these developments online and in technology are wonderful because people are more and more in their own bubble. And you're not actually expected to talk to people as much as you used to be expected to talk to people. And you're not expected to socialize as much because people don't generally, because they're entertaining themselves with their devices online, because it's more convenient for them than meeting actual human beings. But if you don't want to be a controlled serf, you're going to have to. You should have been thinking about it for a while now, because of the reasons that I spoke about in the AI at the end of the internet live stream, which is still up if you want to see it. That was a good one, actually, I thought. If I say so myself. You should have been thinking of a plan for how to get offline a bit more if you need to. And this is the perfect time, because it takes the joy out of everything. If you're going to be asked for ID all the time just to use an app or something, upload your, you're going to be like basically having your ID like pinned to you in your clothing. Here, take my fingerprint, my biometrics, my number. Everybody's just a number. You're going to be asked for that all the time. And then sitting around worrying about who's hacking it and who's doing identity theft on you and all this, because they have all your info and everything, very handy. Now with me, it's even easier because I got videos online, so I wouldn't be particularly prissy about my image in particular, but other bits of info like my ID card or something like that, I'd be more worried about that, because people would be, going trying to claim services for financial reasons on my card, you see. Saying, turning up somewhere and saying, "Oh, I've just become unemployed" or something like that. Like I'm working, but they could say if they had my number, "Oh, here's her number. I've just become unemployed and I want to." And then you have to argue, no, that's somebody who stole my number. If you find out about it, if you're lucky enough to find out about it, you could find yourself up in court for fraud. Dreadful consequences. So I have been planning kind of a soft exit for a while, that I just curtail any activities, any platforms that didn't suit me anymore, got rid of them, didn't miss them, and then curtailed it down to basically I'm just now YouTube and websites that don't have ads on them. And I don't have millions of subscriptions to things. But you have to have something instead. Like games you can play offline, music you can play offline, hobbies you can do offline. When Aleki was off, I had a very long guitar practice and I set about starting to learn a new Bach piece because I'm learning classical guitar, and I print out bits of music for it. And learn a piece of music. I'm still learning a piece of music that I started when I started trying to learn classical guitar last October. And I'm still at the polishing stage for that. So, um, I didn't miss the internet that night because I had books and things as well. And I had a little camping light that is solar charged. That's a brilliant thing. It lasts hours. So you could read by that. And I had a camping stove um, that one of the QAnon people bought me, actually. Toots bought me that. Um, and so, I had quite a cozy evening. If it weren't for the shrimp situation, I now have a battery backup coming for the shrimp. So they won't be deprived of air circulation in their tank if there's a cut out again. But you always have to have a backup plan, you see. So the backup plan for this, because of the enshittification of the internet, which is just, it's now at the unbearable stage, you'll find when you have to do age verification, probably regularly, probably more than once for the same apps, I'm thinking. Because they do it on other apps every so often. They do it with you. You might have noticed it as well. Oh, we just want to verify your phone number. Can we send you texts and things like that? And they'll send you things back and forth, get you to do a runaround for them every once in a while when there was no need in the first place. It was just to get you to stay keen. So you have to develop hobbies of some sort. And I would recommend the reading one because I want to get more views on my dystopian novel. And that's an easy way into learning to read again. What happens with reading is that, as a very avid reader, I can tell you this is a phenomenon, right? Being on the internet and reading, there are two different kinds of focus. One, internet is a passive focus. You're sitting there, you're allowing stuff to go over you, right? Reading is an active focus. You go, right, and you sit down and you read. Switching from one to the other is very difficult. Switching from internet mode to reading mode is very difficult. And when you sit down to read, you have about 10 minutes. This is what happens for me, about 10 minutes of really bad focus before you start getting into it. And a lot of people can't stand that 10 minutes because a lot of people can't even stand 10 minutes of a video. They'll typically tune out within the first 3 minutes. So most people have a 3-minute attention span, basically. That's what they've done to you. Sorry. So, but I'm not being insulting because you wouldn't have got this far in the video. So, and if you have, you're one of the clever people. So, you've got to relearn that. And a great way to relearn it is by listening to an audiobook, because you're taking away the visual quick cuts and excitement of cinematic kind of excitement of visuals, and the listening is the important thing. So you're already narrowing your range of focus. You're training yourself to narrow your range of focus. You're basically, the plan I'm talking about is the plan to narrow, to retrain yourself to be able to live in the real world and not online, and to make it a seamless transition. So audiobooks are great for that because you're just listening, and you can actually sit down. I have little books everywhere that are like this one, planning journals. But you can have notebooks that are you're working through your plan, you see. And if anybody wanted to do this, I will show you how to do it on my channel. Just make comments underneath if there's a particular aspect of this you want to go into more, and I can do it on my channel if you want. Nobody ever wants animal content anyway, except the sewing ones. And I just keep making it because I've been trying to encourage people to have hobbies for this reason, because this enshittification has been happening. And I want people to understand that hobbies are important. Not necessarily just sewing or knitting, but having other interests than internety type interests, you see. And I mean, I'm a big fan of the internet when it works properly, but it doesn't, you see, anymore. It doesn't. So you can train yourself to listen for 10 minutes a day, right? To If you want to train yourself into being able to read again. And the reason I'm always on about reading is fantastic for upping so many skills, as well as entertaining you. And you can get totally lost in it the way you get totally lost in things online as well. So it's highly entertaining. It teaches you things. It makes you a better all round human being reading. And it helps you to socially interact if you're interested in that, because you become a more interesting person. If I wasn't an introvert, I would be the most interesting person to talk to, because when I'm in the mood to talk to people, I have fantastically interesting conversations. I just choose not to a lot of the time because I'm happy doing my own thing, my own hobbies and everything. I have a happy little life going, you see. So, and a lot of people these days have problems, and you end up just listening to their problems all the time, and you go, wow, I can't wait to go home to my guitar practice. So, um, audiobooks are great. So check that one out, and it's also a very funny book, but it is about a dystopian world that you might recognize to some extent, because it starts off um, with the idea of a pandemic, caused by a virus. So that's the dystopian idea. But the dystopian aspect in it is to do with, there it is there. That's the name of the live streams they said there was. The dystopian aspect in it is also to do with the people in it, and their relationships and everything, and what happens, because there are events in it that really affects um, the main character in the book, Robert, but also a couple of other characters in the book that turn up. So there are some male characters, some female characters, and they're trying to survive in a dystopian world. And I think I can say that, that we're really in a dystopian world now, but there is a normal world in existence still. And we often lose sight of that. And people who are in contact with nature a lot don't lose sight of it as much, I don't think. Um, and people who have like kind of old fashioned hobbies that are non digital hobbies, like playing guitar or reading books, or doing craft works, or, making paintings or sculpting, or people who, I was going to say work on cars, but they're digital now as well. um, I think people who have those kinds of interests are going to find it much easier to step away from the really dystopian, um, controlling stuff that's happening. And I think that would be a good thing. So actually, those safety rule regulations coming in, they could actually be a very good thing in some ways, even though I suspect that at least some of it is about trying to train AI to make our lives even worse and to have us even more enslaved, because they're having a problem getting enough data to train AI on, because everywhere that they have to ask for permission, people are saying no. And although they're not saying they're going to use it for training, they've been caught several times already training AI on people's data. And people say, for example, there's been big arguments about AI art. I always use the inverted brackets because I don't consider it art made by AI. Art has to be made with intentions behind it that are human intentions to do with a rational thought process producing the art. And AI isn't, it's just a remix machine, if you like. And what it was doing was it was remixing humans' art and then calling that art in a very insulting kind of a way, because the art uh, was insulting in that it all, it looked great at first because it was glossy looking and the lighting and everything in it was good. And then it looked terrible because it all started looking the same, which is really very killing to art. And it also was made on the work of real artists because they were stealing real artists' work without permission. You see, all artists have copyright on their, just like writers do, or even this video has a copyright on it that nobody else can come along and just use it willy nilly for their own purposes. Or use the script from it to try and turn a few books for themselves. So that's what they'll do, whether they have permission or not. I reckon that's kind of a back doorway into getting all our real-time conversations, all our interests, fears, um, all our lifestyle interests, what we do online, and pictures inside our homes like this. You see, I once was nearly going to work for a company that wanted me to they were a Chinese company. They wanted me to take pictures inside my home of common objects for training AI. I didn't take that job. It gave me the creeps, but that's the kind of thing that they want, you see. So that they can train the AI, and then they sell you at the moment. They're selling you the idea that AI is your friend, or it's very the usual thing. It's entertaining. It's your friend. It does tasks for you. It can even have sex with you. All the things that they think people will want, whereas actually the things that it's doing for them, it's carrying out different things for them. It's making them need you, a human being, less, you see, and you're supposed to participate in that. We have to stop participating in these things. I won't use any AI stuff because I think, I don't want to be a part of this shitification of the world. Now, you might say, oh, you have shitty live streams all the time. I hate them. But I don't try and gloss everything up and have really high production values and everything, because style over substance is like, I don't see the point in that. I don't see the point in trying that hard just to have style over substance. And some of the people that do are only doing it for money reasons. I'm not interested in it. It'd be great to have money, but I'm interested in making the world slightly better. This is why I bang on about hobbies all the time. I don't have that many years left, but I would like to think I left the world not a worse place for being in it. At least that I didn't inshitify the world anymore for the next generation of people coming up. And I don't think that this online safety bill is about making the world better for young people at all. It's not about that. It's about business and government's needs in terms of control of populations. That's basically it. And in shutting down people talking amongst themselves in any kind of a free way, because you've got media there which people can organize on very well. And you've seen in America the big push against that now in favor of an authoritarian crackdown on anybody expressing any kind of dissent with what they want from their citizens, you see. So it's very dangerous stuff, but there is stuff you can do about it. You don't have to comply. You do have a choice. It might be uncomfortable giving up some stuff, but only for a little while. It's like giving up smoking. I was talking about giving up smoking. the discomfort only lasts for a short while, and then you go through into a much better life, you see. So it can be done. Okay, I'm going to finish my breakfast before it's completely cold. And there are 2 episodes if you want to start your training now for the real world. If you haven't been out there in a while and you want to get some hobbies. They said there was the 2 live streams up on that now. So we've got 3 or 4 chapters in each one of those, and you can listen to it in like chapter at a time and then remember where you were and go on to the next chapter. You can listen to it when you're going for a walk, if you want to do some real world stuff while you're listening, and still be getting through a book. So at the end you could say, hey, I got a book read. So hopefully if I get any listeners at all, I'll go through to the end of the book. If I don't, and I get bored of reading the book, I'll probably give up, but I might get through it. I'm trying to do them. See, I lose subs every time. People only want flashy entertainment, and they're so averse to old-fashioned hobbies now. They don't even want to listen to books, let alone read them. So what I'm having to do is do a live stream every day or second day just to get through the book before I get bored of doing the readings, because I found Dracula quite a chore to do, even though I was enjoying the book. The live streams were a slight chore because very few people were watching them, and I couldn't even get enough people watching them that somebody would give me a sound check and tell me if my mic was working. So if you're on the internet and the internet isn't even a good experience for you anymore, that's the point at which you go, well, if it's just making me feel worse about anything I'm saying, or that anybody's might be interested in what message that I'm actually giving, don't give the message then. But I don't give up too easy. I'll stay in there. Sometimes it's darkest just before dawn. So I will give my message right up to the last moment where I think the internet is can be saved. I don't think it can be saved. Actually, I'm actually just giving you a plan to get out, basically, how to get away from it and back to real life. And it'll solve so many problems. No more loneliness epidemics. Birth rate hopefully won't go up because we all know about birth control. And they've got a new male birth control now, apparently with no side effects. The female one had loads of side effects, but the male one magically has none. And so they might actually take it. But ladies, if they do, don't trust them to take it. You're still going to have to take your own. But get out, meet people if that's what you're into, get hobbies, get offline more. And the enshittification of the internet, you just wave bye-bye as it's going down the toilet, really, because that will annoy the tech bros who are in charge and in cahoots with governments. It'll annoy the hell out of them when we say, no, we don't actually need you. There are other ways of doing things. There's a lot of stuff that there are still other ways of doing things. So work on that music collection and maybe learn to play an instrument. And then you might meet some people and be able to have a little get together in the house, like Deirdre in the novel, who drives her husband mad, bringing her hippie friends around to the house. Okay, see you folks. That was a very long live stream, but I like to have a long breakfast. See you.